Welcome to YOUCANIC. Today here in YOUCANIC we have a 2012 Hyundai Sonata, and on this Hyundai Sonata we're going to go over how you would change the front brakes and the rotor. So this is your rotor, and then we've got the brake pads inside here. So we're going to go over that process. Now this is a hybrid version, so the couple things you would want to do for your own safety is make sure that the key is nowhere close to the vehicle, so that the vehicle doesn't start and do anything like that. And also just make sure that you've got the tires chocked like you would on any other vehicle. And we've got this jacked up and we've got this supported with jack stands. We've got the front tire removed, and I've got it turned to the left to give us easier access to the bolts that we need to undo to remove these pieces. But to start with, I'm going to undo these two screws here that hold the rotor on. It just sometimes is easier to remove them now than to try to remove them later. These can be a pain. I did pre-dose them with a penetrating oil. Don't know if it helped or not, but these can be a pain. So those are removed. Now we will move over to most of our work that we work on right here. So to start with, we're going to remove these two number 14s, and that way we're not going to remove the ones that have an outside Torx or the E. We're just removing the 14s that hold this caliper onto the carrier. We don't want to separate the actual caliper. Okay. Okay, so with those two bolts removed, we can now lift up this caliper and set it out of the way for the moment. And we're just going to set it up here, and then we're going to pop out one of these brake pads that I'm going to set into there to be able to push that caliper back. And that way you don't over push the caliper piston back too far, because the brake pad will stop. If you set it in there like it was to be there, it'll stop once it has the little indents. And we're pushing that piston back so that when we put the new brakes on, we have the space to put this on. Now I'm just going to attach this caliper up with a piece of wire so that it's not going to be in our way and it's not going to fall down and cause any due stress on your cable itself. So I've got that just holding up there with a piece of wire. And now we'll move back down here to the carrier portion, remove the other brake pad, and then be able to remove the carrier. There's two bolts here. They are size 17. Right. With those bolts removed, we can now remove the carrier and to be able to do some work on it. All right. Okay, so we got the carrier. We're going to want to pop these metal shims off and toss them, because the kit, if your kit didn't come with these, because sometimes they don't, then you wouldn't pop these off. You'd leave them on, just clean them up. But our kit comes with new ones, so we're going to get rid of them. And why we do that, we're going to go ahead and just wire brush some of this rust and brake dust off. It's a good practice to just wear a mask or whatever when you do this, especially with all the brake dust. Okay, then we need to pull these glide pins out. You're going to hold the rubber boot down and then just pull the glide pin out. Then we're going to clean off all this old grease. And then we're going to put some fresh grease on here. Not a crazy amount, just enough. And then I like to spin it as it goes in to coat it all, and then we have good movement. Yeah, sometimes these can stick and you just put the wrench on there and spin it to see it and pull it out. But we want to have them slide fairly easily so that when you're not using your brakes, your brakes will back off of the rotor and you don't get any brakes riding. Right, got that. Okay, that's good. Now next, we've got that all set to go on. Remove this old rotor. Okay, we've got our new rotor. Now we're going to want to try to line up the screw holes that hold that okay. Got the screw holes lined up. Okay, so we have our carrier bracket that we're going to mount back on here. Those are our two size 17 bolts. Make sure that you keep your lock washers to go on there. Right, those are good and tight. Now, put our new brakes on. So, with these brakes, you got the one with the two dots. That one goes on the outside. And then the one with the wear indicator goes on the inside. And we got the dots, but they're wider. They're not right here in the middle. Now, we'll just go ahead and put our caliper on. And those are the size 14. We're going to tighten those up. There we go. Those are good and tight. Sometimes this would spin, the glide pin, and so you would just have to put the size 17 wrench in there. It may need to be a narrow one to be able to go in there to hold it as you tighten this. But that's all tightened up, and then you would put your tire back on, lower your vehicle, torque your tire to spec, and before you drive off, pump the brake, and then so that you would fill up this caliper full of fluid so that your brakes are more optimal at the moment, and then start the car with the brake booster on and pump the brakes some more to make sure that this is all full and where it needs to go. And then you're good to go. Thanks for watching YOUCANIC, where you can be the mechanic.